All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. And if other people join in as we go, that's great. If not, they'll still get a recording, in which you guys will get a recording too after this has ended as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So hi, everyone. My name is Taylor, and I am a career coach here at APUS. More specifically, I'm the STEM career coach. I work with science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And I'm excited to be meeting with you all today here in this group coaching session. What I like to do with these sessions is kind of just give an overview of the topic and then have time for us at the end to just kind of connect, ask questions, and learn from each other. And if you don't have any questions by the end, that's okay. And if you do, that's great. We're just here to learn more from each other. And if you have any questions throughout the presentation, that's fine too. Feel free to come off the mic um, and ask away. So today I'm going to be discussing pivoting your career and developing a resume, specifically focusing on the environmental science realm of things. So if you're coming from one industry and going into environmental science, you may find this helpful. And if you have any questions, like I said, you can feel free to ask them throughout the presentation or at the end when we have more of a group discussion. So here's just a quick overview of some different things I'm going to be discussing today, some different topics that we'll be hitting on. All right, so to get started, when changing your career, it's really essential to be realistic in your job search. So that's something to keep in mind. So especially if you don't have any background experience, and that's kind of where I'm coming from, you have no background experience in environmental science. So just try to be realistic when you are out there looking for those jobs, because first you're going to want to identify your skills and experience to help determine what types of jobs you're eligible for. So you might have this dream job within the environmental science industry, but you might have to start from the beginning and work your way up to that job just so you can build that more relevant experience and skills to what's needed. So with this, I say just be open to those opportunities you are eligible for. There's nothing wrong with starting entry level. I know sometimes, I often hear students say, well, I have families to provide for, I don't know how I'm going to do that. But if that's the case, then sometimes I recommend just, continuing that full-time job, but taking volunteer opportunities and internships and finding ways to build up that experience to qualify for some roles that you may be looking for to support you more financially. But otherwise, depending on what your situation is, I always encourage students to be open to the different opportunities. And remember, so you may have years of great experience. So, you might have 15, 20 years within one area, one industry. But it could be irrelevant experience to the job that you're wanting to go for. And, entry level might be those only roles. Or, you have that 15, 20 years of experience, but, you have management experience. So that could be that is a transferable skill into this new industry. But you might need to start more like a team lead or a manager kind of thing, something that might not be as high up, but still being able to use those skills. So just kind of gaining more of an idea of what your background entails. And with this, you can identify the skills and experience sought after by viewing different job announcements. And I always recommend that. So if you're not looking for a job right now, viewing those job announcements and seeing what are those requirements, what's going to be needed to kind of give you an idea to best prepare. But if you are job searching right now, it also gives you a good idea of, okay, what do I have off this job announcement and what do I still need? Additionally, connecting with local companies and agencies and utilizing resources like Occupational Outlook Handbook. Those are great ways just to kind of identify, what skills you're going to need as you are making this transition into a new industry. And then after seeing what skills you still need, identifying ways to gain those skills in new experiences. So strengthen those skill sets. So this topic is going to be pretty important because you are making that transition starting fresh essentially. So you want to focus on strengthening your skill set. By doing this, you're going to identify your transferable skills, which are typically those soft skills like communication, teamwork, and management. These are skills that are usually seen in every industry and what every industry is seeking. In your current role as a professional or as a student, focus on taking on projects and leading a campus, or like if you are in a campus organization. I know environmental science has an AEP. Becoming a mentor. We have a mentor program. Those are great ways just to get connected and take on potential skills. Leader like mentoring, that's a leadership skill that can focus on your communication. If you're active in a club and organization, depending on what your role is, those are some different skills that you can start building up as well, and networking with other people. And then take initiative in your area by identifying a need and putting a team together to fundraise, clean, advocate, etc. Environmental science is a great industry with endless opportunities to gain these skills and take on these initiatives. And employers love seeing someone who is active in what they're interested in, because it shows that they're going to be dedicated and loyal and that they are passionate. So, these keys, those words that you usually avoid on a resume, just taking on your own project will demonstrate those skills. So focus on your communication, verbal, written, the platforms you use. A lot of things are happening now online. So building up your experience with Zoom, Microsoft, whatever it is that you're finding on those job announcements, different platforms that are, someone seeking for knowledge and experience in, start learning some of those different ways and communicating, maybe holding a team meeting, that kind of thing. And just identifying those trending industry communication platforms and gaining those different skills for it and knowledge. So gaining new skills. So we focused on the other skills, strengthening them, some ways to possibly strengthen them, but there's always new skills to learn, especially when you're making that transition. So as you've gone through Occupational Outlook Handbook, or, connecting with different companies, recruiters. We do have a virtual career fair coming up in October. So, look at those job announcements, seeing what's needed, what are employers typically looking for. You say, I don't have X, Y, and Z experience. I need to build this up. So if there are skills and experiences you still need to work on building up, consider volunteering, interning, or taking on additional roles at your current workplace. So, even if your current workplace isn't environmental specific, that's okay, because maybe you don't have management skills, asking to take on more leadership type roles. That way you can elaborate that on your resume, your portfolio, LinkedIn. So there's always ways to still gain those transferable skills, even where you're at right now. Take initiative and be active in a professional association, club, organization. So those are some different ways to start building it up. And like I said earlier, environmental science is a fantastic industry to get involved in, because there are so many opportunities to gain that relevant experience that's needed. You can always check out local colleges and universities, arboretums, environmental groups, state and national park forests. Take on and lead your own project, do video blogs on social media, teaching others about different topics that you're interested in or that you are more knowledgeable in. So there are a variety of different ways to build those skills and experiences that are needed on your own time or with others. So those are some ways that you can start gaining those new skills. So back to networking. So connecting with those people in the industry, can really just assist you on where you're wanting to go and guiding you. And networking really gets your name out to other employers, to people who might even recommend you for a job. So while, you might connect with one employer, they might not have an opportunity for you quite yet, or, maybe they just don't have anything coming up, but they know of another job or employer that can, that would fit your skills and experience really well, and they could recommend you to them. I have had several students who have gotten positions this way. So I always recommend just getting your name out to other people. And especially if they don't have opportunities, that's okay, because you're still learning about a company, you're still learning about what they're doing, and you're still learning about potential people that, maybe there's not something right now, but maybe a year or two down the road, they could say, hey, I remember this person made a huge impression, a huge positive impression. I would love to bring them in for an interview. And, they contact you. So it's worth getting your name out there and who you are and your experience and your skills to other people. And so some places that you can network are places like virtual career fairs, or in-person career fairs if there's anything locally. Like I said, we do have one coming up in October, and I can drop the link to that here at the end on getting registered if you're interested in that. We are partnering with Rasmussen on this virtual career fair, and it's open to the public. So anyone is welcome to join. You don't have to be an APUS student. But other places that you can network are LinkedIn, APUS's mentorship program, connecting with your professors, clubs and organizations, professional associations usually have things, and just getting involved in your local community with some other places that I discussed earlier with gaining your skills and experiences. So pivoting that job search strategy. So this is going to be kind of the meat to everything because you're going from one industry going into that environmental science industry. So it's going to be crucial when pivoting your career to have a calculated job search strategy. So this means rather than mass applying, going on Indeed and applying to every single job that's out there, whether you're qualified or not qualified, whether you're interested or not interested, take your time to research companies and the positions. And this does take time. And I know it can be frustrating, um, especially when you're really excited or you're really ready to get started or you're just really ready for a new change. But this is only going to help you by not getting burnt out, by not really, not even wasting your time or getting your hopes up. Like it's gonna be a calculated search to find what fits you and where you need to go to help those foundations with your skills and experience and getting to where you want to go, building on that. So rather than mass applying, I always recommend taking your time to research these companies, the positions, and by doing this, examine the education, experience, and skills required for those roles. So do you meet the minimum education requirements? Does it require an associate's, a bachelor's, a master's, even a PhD? Because those are typically those research positions. What's the experience? So this is the part where, with transitioning and pivoting your career, do you depending on the job, do you have that management experience or do you not have that management experience? So, do you have experience with communicating in a team setting? Do you not have that experience? So it might not necessarily be focused on environmental science, but it's finding, I have project management experience. I've led teams. That's great because that means you meet that experience requirement. Now, if there's specific things on there that might be industry specific, then that's where you're going to have to evaluate, okay, this is where I need to gain more knowledge and skills, or here's where I can elaborate that, because in your education section, you can list, I usually say 1 to 3, maybe four could be pushing it depending on your experience. Under your education section, some projects or courses that you've taken. So that might help fill that knowledge gap. And then evaluating those skills required for those roles. So do you have what the job announcement is seeking? And that's kind of what you have to ask yourself. And if you do have that, then that's great. Go ahead and tailor your resume and apply for that job. If not, continue to search. If you say, nope, I don't have my master's yet. No, I don't have X, Y, and Z experience, and I can't even translate that experience. Okay, then it might be time to move on. Even if it is your dream job, just really evaluate that, or always reach out to the employer and say, here's where I stand. I want to make sure I'm a competitive candidate in what you're looking for. You know, am I someone that you would be looking for when applying for this position? Because you might get a totally different answer based off what that job announcement says. And that's always okay, because the employer's going to appreciate that you're not going to waste their time by applying. Or they're going to say, yes, I really want you to apply, because they see how enthusiastic you are about the position and you're able to make that networking connection with them. So by doing this, by figuring out, do you have what's required? Do you not have it? That can help determine if you apply or don't apply. And then this will help minimize your job search for that burnout and that frustration. And if you don't have the skills and experience being sought, it may not be the best fit at this time. It doesn't mean that it can't ever happen. It just means this is the job that you're reaching for. What exactly are they looking for? And I'm going to find a job that's going to help me grow into that position. That's going to help me um, better myself, my skills, and my experience. And then um, ensure that the job you land will offer those opportunities, kind of like that. Just be sure that the job that you land are going to offer the opportunities to gain the desired skills and experience. So that's something that you kind of enter once you get into that interview to say, how are you, how will this position help me grow? What are the growth opportunities here in this company? Where would this expand to, kind of thing. That way you can be sure that you are on the right track with your career goals. So now we're going to talk about building that resume. So we've covered the topics on job searching, identifying the skills and experience needed to make that transition. Now we're going to come down to the resume. So building a resume where the experience was gained outside the field you intend to pursue will be based on the job which you are applying. So you will likely, well, it's not you will likely, you will have multiple resumes because for each job you apply for, there should be a resume specific to that role. And when tailoring the resume to the industry you are moving into, you want to focus on highlighting those soft skills as accomplishments. And just a fun fact, and I can drop the link at the end with this as well. We now have an AI resume writing tool. It's called Hiration. So if you guys have worked with us before, we had JobScan in the past, which we no longer have. We have something far more advanced. It even gives you recommendations on how to update your bullet points specific to what you've written to that job announcement. So like I said, I'm going to drop that link here at the end, but using Hiration may be able to better assist you with identifying, what skills you have, what skills do you need, experience to elaborate on, things like that. And making that tailoring process a little bit more smooth and not as time consuming. So when it comes to tailoring, if the announcement is seeking a person who has experience working on diverse projects involving soil and groundwater investigation, compliance, so on, something similar to that, you're going to want to create a bullet point that so say you don't have any experience with the soil and groundwater, you can focus on creating a bullet point, elaborating on a project that you have designed, executed, and highlighting if you did it independently or in a team setting and what that project accomplished. So for example, designed 10 diverse projects in 1 year through collaboration with various departments, enhancing customer experience by 20%. So this is telling the employer that you have the skill, even though it's not specific to soil. However, it is something that you could quickly learn on the job. So you have the foundational knowledge that's needed to accomplish what they're looking for when it comes to the person who's seeking, this employer is seeking diverse projects involving soil groundwater investigation. Well, you have experience. You've done 10 different diverse projects in 1 year through collaboration with other people. So that is something that would be a way to translate your skill from one industry to another. And of course, you can get more specific. That's a pretty broad example, but just a way to demonstrate that it is possible to show off those skills. And then, you want to show, because you are pivoting in your job search, you're also pivoting on the resume. So when transitioning careers without any industry experience, I always recommend listing your education at the top of the resume, as it's going to be your most relevant job qualifier to any job. And then if you've done any volunteer or extracurricular experience, professional associations, that should be listed next, because these will be specific to the career you're applying for, to that industry. So then you can elaborate on the role, and then within your volunteer and extracurricular experience, if you were active in professional associations, from there, I recommend elaborating on what you did in those roles to demonstrate that you have the industry specific knowledge, like the hands-on experience. And then after you've done that, you can elaborate on your professional experience and elaborate on those soft skills or specific hard skills that you might have that's transferable to the job to demonstrate your knowledge towards the role and applying. So that order will help your most relevant qualifying information stand out first to the employer. That way they're not looking and saying, oh, this person doesn't have, this person's coming from I'm trying to think. This person is going from being a teacher to a soil investigator. But teaching, there's a lot of, there's a lot of things that you have to do as a teacher that might be investigation related. So, but you would want so say you do volunteer where you go soil sampling every Saturday, you're going to want that to show up first rather than your teaching experience. So that way they can say, oh yeah, this person does have more to them when it comes to the experience portion. And then be sure to check out the program career page found on the AMU APU site. We have what can I do this major? This can help gain some ideas about employment and potential places to intern and professional associations. So if you would want more, like it's the very first link. If you go to the main web page, you go under student services, I believe, and then career services. And then you can go to the program career guide, and it has what can I do with this major? You can type in environmental science in the search, and then it provides some different areas of jobs that you could go with in that industry. And at the very bottom, it has some different links with information on it. Highly encourage the use of that. And um, Occupational Outlook handbook is always a great resource too as well. So that is the information I have today. Thank you guys for joining in.